We are trying to put together our trellis now because I can't finish filling the rest of this garden box until I get my tomato trellis up. And I wanted it to look really nice, so I decided to just go for it and do a full-on wood, well-supported trellis. It's probably overkill. It's definitely overkill, but I really wanted to do something that looked nice as well as functioned for what I need. So that's my plan. I'm making my trellis today and I'm getting it in the box so that we can finish filling it with the dirt and soil substitutes that we need. So in order for me to be able to do this, I'm actually following a plan that's been outlined by one of my neighbors. Actually, his name is James, and he has a YouTube channel that actually tells us how to do this on a bigger scale. So I'm kind of smalling it down, and I'll include the link below. So here's how I'm going to do it. I have cut 2 of my 4x4 boards down to exactly 8 feet. These boards, they don't ever come in exactly the same size, and I just wanted to make sure that I had an accurate amount, because what you want to be able to, for this particular trellis, you need to have exactly the same height boards. So in order for me to be able to do that, I need to make a mark. So we know that our garden boxes are exactly 22 inches high, and I want it to be supported along the whole length, the whole height, I guess, not length, of the garden box. So I'm going to make a mark at 22 inches, and I'm going to level that up with the top of my garden box so that I know I'm going to have exactly the same height for both of my 4x4 posts. So I'm going to just make a mark here. Okay, there it is, 22 inches. Then to make sure I have it square, I just use my square here, and I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to make my mark. Now, I have in the past been wrong. And I will miss my mark, and so what I end up doing is I just measure it multiple times. You know, they say measure it twice, cut once, and I'm not cutting it here, but I always like to double check my measurements now for a few reasons. So I'm exactly at 22 inches. Yeah, so I'm at 22 inches, and I'm going to make a mark on my other post, and then I'm going to go and install them over into my garden box with the help of my husband. Okay, so I have made my hole. Now, this would be better to do without dirt in it, but I had dirt in it already before I realized I needed to put a trellis in. My bad. So I have my post here. Okay, I have my line drawn on my post somewhere. Oh, over there. And then I have drawn the center line to where I wanted to put my post. I measured it from the edge. I did it about 16.5 inches from this edge, 15 inches from the inside edge. And then I went and I took a small piece that I had and kind of marked the outside edges. And that's just to give me some basic concept about where I'm going to be placing my post. I also made sure that I was about 22 inches or a little bit more, and basically my plan is just to place the post, screw a 3-inch deck screw into one side, on this side into my 4x4, and then I'm going to level it, and I'll be able to kind of move it around and adjust it a little bit after I get it screwed in. And it sounds like Mommy needs to give her kids some attention right now. Okay, so we have our beams up and they're mostly level. We're gonna call it good. And next thing I need to do is I need to put the Ys on the top, right like that, on both of the beams, so that I can offer my support for my trellis. So we're gonna go get that cut now. So I'm getting ready to cut my boards. I decided to cut them in 24-inch lengths. That's the longest length that I'm going to need. And then I'm going to shave them down to a 45-degree angle on both of the ends. I'm also going to, I'm not going to worry about treating one of the ends because it's just attached to my post, but I'm going to treat the other one because it's facing up, and I just thought, hey, why not? So I'm going to treat it with some linseed oil, and then we're going to attach them onto the posts. If you do this for anything larger, you probably use some lag screws, but we're just using 4x4, so I'm just going to drill with my little drill, and then we're going to attach using a 3-inch deck screws. So I made my cross pieces, which my daughter has now decided is a stepping stool or a step pathway. And I have my Y pieces right here cut at a 45-degree angle. And it's 24 inches on its longest point. And I've made 4 of those, 2 for each post. And then I've made my cross pieces, which are 36 inches from end to end. And I just cut out a little notch right here on each of the ends. It's an 18-degree notch. I've come 1 3/8 inch down and 1 3/8 inch over. And there's no purpose for that except that I like the look, and it is how Projects by James tells me to do it. And so I thought I liked it, I'm gonna try it, and so that's what I did. And then I treated the ends with some linseed oil so that they were all nice and treated. Okay. I got up the Y frame. It was a little trickier than I was imagining. You definitely want to get somebody to help you kind of level things off, but I'm thinking that it isn't going to matter. I was maybe off by 1 millimeter or so, so I'm really hoping that it doesn't come back to bite me, but I'm not re-drilling those holes, so hopefully it works out just fine. So I still have to put the other cross piece right here on the back side, and then I have to do the other post. So here's how it looks so far. I think it looks beautiful, and I'm excited to see the rest. It's my other post. Okay, we got most of our trellis put up. There were a couple of bumps along the way, and I just wanted to kind of talk through them. These long slats here are 12 feet, and the length of the garden box was 12 feet. And I cut off the little top corners just for show, just to kind of get it to match this little guy right here. However, I realized that made it shorter right here. So ideally it would have been better if my boards were just a little bit longer, approximately 1 3/8, well, I guess 2 3/4 inch longer than 12 feet, and it would have worked out perfect. But I like how this looks, and I was okay with doing that. I didn't want to buy a 16-foot board just so that I could get that little edge. So we're gonna call it good and not worry about it. Also, I noticed when attaching these boards, these Ys right here, I found a good way to attach them without having to take off the whole thing, turn it upside down, and make sure that it was flush. So what I did is I just grabbed one of these cross beams and I drilled a hole in the center, and I set it instead of it being like this, I set it up like this across the way here. I guess across the way here. I can't really point this way, can I? Here, across the way like that. And then I put so I had this top piece on, and then I took my 4x4s and I pushed them up kind of in the corner to make it slide. Anyway, it worked like a charm. I got it nice and flat on the other side and not so flat on this side. And that's okay. It didn't have to be perfect. It looks really nice, and it's a tomato trellis. It's not going to be like people hanging on it or anything like that. I'm also noticing it's a little bit top heavy. And I'm worried, I'm not sure what to do about that, though I do know it will become more sturdy once I fill it in with soil, and I do know it will be more sturdy. I haven't finished putting all of my screws in, and I'm thinking instead of doing a line of screws like I was planning on, I should do 2 sides of screws next to each other. Can you tell my baby is... Stop playing with that temple. Anyway, so that is what I've done so far. All I have left are just the little 2x2s. Actually, they're more like 2.5x2s across the top, just to add the slats for support, and I think it's gonna be really nice. So I got them all stained, and we'll keep going. I also decided to go ahead and cover my bottoms right here with plastic. So I put them over the black plastic that I had already installed, and then I just covered them with more plastic and stapled in them. And that's just no other purpose other than to try to preserve the wood a little bit longer. So now we can start to fill in our box. I have some stakes to put in order to prepare for my archway that I'm going to be doing, but this is how the trellis is going.